What is going on, guys? Justin back at it again with another insane BSF product audit, walking you through what products are great and what products are not so great as well, and how to tell if they are or not. Guys, leave a like in the video if you enjoy and you want to see more of these. Leave a comment down below if you love these product audits, and make sure you watch the entire video. You'll be very, very happy you did.
Now, let's go ahead and walk through these first specific items, guys. So first and foremost, we have this high pressure water gun, okay, where it looks like it connects to a hose specifically, okay, or something that actually can house the bubbling here as well to go ahead and wash a jet, car, whatever you have, something that needs to be washed, right? So let me know down below what you guys specifically think about a product like this in our chat, okay, and we'll go ahead and break it down. So an item like this, okay, now the way that I'm looking at here is, is this available everywhere in the world? Can I grab this from brick and mortar stores? Can I get this from Home Depot? Can I get this from Best Buy? Okay. Even though it does have that kind of soap holder, which makes the soap more foamy, etc., for cleaning situations. Okay. What's important here is to look around as to where we can specifically find items like this. We can find them quite vast. Okay. This specific item, I wouldn't want to go ahead and move forward with because there's many items out there just like it. You could get from literally AutoZone. Okay. Exactly correct, Bruce. You could get this from Advanced Auto Parts, Home Depot, Lowe's. Literally, you can go walk into Walmart right now and grab this, right? So meanwhile, let's also keep in mind, guys, okay, the item here definitely works. It could definitely help you wash your car. Okay. But it's very, very important to understand, okay, that as you're moving through with these items, you have to make sure specifically, okay, that these actual items have a differentiative factor and aren't just the same exact item, okay, constantly. So keep that in mind. It looks good to the eye, but you don't want to market something like this that can be found everywhere in between. This is not something that you actually want to move forward with. There's not much high perceived value, okay, even though we always want to look at the results. Okay, the results of this item is the same result that we'll get with other items alike, which is exactly why something like this will not pass the system, or we wouldn't typically want to market something like this because of those reasons exactly. Now, this specific item, okay, is going to be a specific item that actually increases hair growth. Okay, but for anyone who's kind of heard what I said about hair growth and hair oils over the last several weeks, months, or even years, right? We want to go ahead and come to an assumption about certain hair growth items as to what people like to buy. Do we see people conforming and buying an item like this for hair growth? Or do we see people kind of going toward serums, okay, oils, okay, moisturizers, okay, creams? These items specifically will actually give you an actual way to go ahead and increase your hair growth. This, so to speak, does as well, but I would believe there's going to be a lot more pushback on using an item specifically just like this. Okay, an item like this, quite frankly, is going to be very hard to get someone to want to wear it, get someone to want to actually buy it because of wearing it. And it's a bit, I would say, a bit more over the top than an other item. I would rather you look into hair cream, hair oil, hair serum here. Okay, they're also going to be a lot less expensive than an item like this, sitting at around $400. Okay, than other items that are like $20 for hair growth serums as well. Okay, and I believe serums, etc., could probably do a bit better than items revolving in this nature. This is something that's going to be a harder sell. It's way too expensive. Okay, and also you're going to have to do a lot more convincing than you would have to do with hair serums and growth oils as well, which is why we want to go ahead and definitely look into growth serums specifically rather than items like this. So what are we looking at here? The pricing, okay, the reasoning as to why someone would put this on their head, and ultimately, is there a better mousetrap here? And that would be, yeah, there is a better mousetrap here. That's the growth serums, the growth oils, okay, that also has a bit of a higher perceived value. This kind of just looks like it is, like Naradi said, a bit cumbersome and overall, kind of outdated in my opinion as well, even though it's trying to look a bit newer, right? So this is something that we're definitely going to want to pass on. Okay, what do we think about this item down here? Okay, so this specific item has been around for quite some time, and I'm kind of yes. Thank you. So Paul says saturated. Leah says way too saturated. Now, the whole ideology with an item like this, okay, it's been around for quite some time. Now, with that being said, does that mean that we can't ever sell it? No. But how do we go ahead and make a differentiation between an item that we think can do well and an item that we think could do well, but it's just been very, very saturated? Okay. An item like this will take way more money to actually begin to get consistency with because of the fact that it's been in the market for some time already. Okay. With that being said, okay, one of the things to understand here is since it's saturated, we're going to have a lot higher cost per acquisition, which means it's going to cost us more money to acquire a single purchaser. Okay, with that being said, more money to acquire a single purchaser is going to make it a lot harder for us to actually sustain running these ads. Okay, which is going to make it a lot harder of a sell. Okay, the best time to market something like this is when it actually came to fruition and people actually saw it for the first time. Okay, that was during COVID. Okay, like Bruce and a few others said in our chat down below. Okay, during COVID, this is when this item really came out and started to do well when it first started. Okay, this item now is a bit saturated. Other items have actually came out of the woodworks to try to mock or create something similar to an item like this because of that COVID trend. Okay, but can it still do well? Technically, yes, but you have to put a lot of money for branding and great content creation and differentiation, okay, and the actual content that you're using into the product rather than moving on to something else. Here's a different item also that I want to go ahead and walk us through. Now, what comes to mind when we see this item here, ladies and gents? Off the bat, Amanda says the shoes, Bruce says uniqueness, Paul says the shoes, Wendy says EDM music festivals. Yes, Wendy, that's a great point there because of the mask that I remember that we were reviewing. Okay, as correct, Bruce says the masks, raves, says Jake, exactly. Carly says the light up shoes. Yes, Naradi says yes, the light up shoes. Yes, what are we noticing here, guys? Okay, when you have these LED kind of these kind of fiber optic types of lighting, okay, I'm noticing over and over and over again. What I'm not noticing, okay, is not every single item under the sun with this kind of fiber optic lighting, is going to make me a millionaire, but I'm noticing constantly lots of items that do well with the fiber optic on it, okay, particularly wearables. Okay, so this is a perfect example for this, ladies and gents. We notice trends, okay? We notice trends of certain lighting beginning to do better, okay? Or certain material beginning to do better. Okay, for this item, like so many of us had just said, okay, the actual EDM light up face mask that was made of the same fiber optic material, correct. Those shoes that lighted up the same colors were made of the same fiber optic material, correct. Both items went crazy nuclear and scaled very nicely. What I'm saying here is even though this is just a generic damn hat, okay, this is a generic hat, okay, what we're noticing here is that continued trend. Okay, now hear me out here. Just like we look at POD products, okay, we look at POD products not by if they're on a hoodie or a t-shirt or not, we look at what is printed on that specific canvas. Okay, let's take the way that we look at POD, for example, and keep in mind, we don't do POD because we have our agents here. We can automatically get quick shipping and get much better pricing than paying USA POD manufacturers, but we can still use our POD logic in the actual product research game. So we say, hey, with POD, if I know a certain design, let's say a rabbit for Easter is doing amazing, okay, on that hoodie and that t-shirt, I'm going to go ahead and make a prediction that it also do good on that tank top. Okay, and that's the type of actual ideologies and connections we want to actually make. Okay, that is using our wit, our data, and our system that has validated previous items that have done well to go ahead and say, go out on a limb and say, okay, this item meets the criteria because it shares these specific characteristics that these other winners have already actually met as well that also passed the system. So hear me out here. We're taking proven fact of the fact that fiber optic is selling on wearable items and moving that into our product research here. Okay, that's the way that we want to think here. Now, do we think like this for every single product? No. And that's why this is such a hard acquired skill, because there's going to be different ways to go ahead and look at different products. Okay, but what this is a prime example of is using other items, okay, other items that we put to the system, other items that we know have done well, and using our 2 cents to say, hey, this will also do well or will possibly also do well, okay, because it was they were all on wearable items just like this here, which makes this a phenomenal pick based off of that data and information that we're aware of because of the system previously and because of the way that we're conforming to product research, which is amazing, guys. So many sevens. This is a weight vest, okay? Obviously, it's going to help you with training to go ahead and walk around more weight. Okay, do we see any differentiations here? Okay, do we see any massive differentiation with the material? Okay, are we able to, Eamon said something very, very proper. Okay, are we able to go ahead and get this anywhere? Okay, walk me through, guys, if this is available in every fitness shop, every brick and mortar, okay, or if this is different enough to sell, or if it's brand new, we've never seen this before. The thing is, it definitely is saturated. It can be found at brick and mortars across the globe here, and it does not have much differentiation. Okay, now, for example, let's say if this specific item had a different breathable material and it was mesh and I could breathe through it and not sweat extra underneath it. Or specifically, it had like a system that it cooled my veins to make it so I could work out for longer without sweating as much. Okay. If it had those differentiations and functionality points, that would have been a phenomenal differentiation for me. But quite frankly, this is the same exact item that's found in Crunch Fitness, LA Fitness, Equinox, Orange Theory, 24-hour fitness, all these fitness places and nutrition zones and all these places that sell specific workout gear. They're going to have these items. Okay. There's not much of a difference with these items. And that's why I was saying here, how do we find a differentiation with an item like this? Okay. Is it by just looking for something totally different, or is it possible to find differentiation here? It's possible. Okay. It's in the material. Remember, guys, just like we talked about with the teddy bear coat, okay, differentiation in clothing and material, and I would consider this closest training clothing, okay, would be material differentiation, mesh, okay, different style of like leather or breathableness, okay, all the specific differentiation in the material is what dictates specifically if clothing has a chance to be marketed properly or not, okay? Also, like Deontay mentioned at first as well, the shipping would be ridiculous. Okay, it's going to be heavy as hell. It's going to take forever to ship because of the weight of it. And you're going to push your margin, very, very low because of how high the shipping costs are. So, I'm going to say we're definitely going to pass on this because of those reasons. Okay. And I chose a lot of these items here, guys, because I had a lot of no's this week and I wanted to go ahead and showcase as well. So, that's the reasoning behind this item, as I'm sure we can absolutely understand. Okay. And shipping really does matter. So don't not look at the shipping costs when looking at products as well. It's very, very relevant, of course. What about an item like this? We're going to focus on the item, but I also want to go ahead and focus on the gap between the person who's really going to buy something like this compared to who, if you were selling this, like who you would believe would buy it. So let's go ahead and break it down, guys. Specifically, okay, this is going to be for pools. Okay, I want to go ahead and walk you through why I believe this specific item, okay, wouldn't be absolutely ideal, okay, for pools. Okay, now obviously, just like Carly said, it could be for a fish bowl or something cool like that, but we have to choose a proper angle here, right? So keep in mind, guys, this is a great point I want to bring up. So when we have different angles, right? We have different angles. Okay, so I'm not going to come out the gate and be like, hey guys, I got my fishbowl LED light set up. You're going to love it. Okay, that would probably be an item that you'd want to go and walk into a store knowing that you want to go ahead and buy fishbowl lights. Okay, you're not going to like be randomly enlightened by fishbowl lights. Okay, nor would you be randomly enlightened by pool lights. Okay, unless one, your pool doesn't have lights. Okay, which majority of them do these days, or two, you don't have a pool. Okay, three, okay, if you want pool lights, you probably are not going to wait for an ad to tell you that you want pool lights. You probably already know. So the buying logic here is somewhat flawed. Okay, so, and Bruce is mentioning the point that I was thinking of at first as well, is someone who has specific money, aka has a pool of some sort, okay, is probably not going to go ahead and settle for pool lights bought randomly online on spur of the moment thinking, right? They're probably going to go ahead and do some homework and go to the local pool shop and consult a pool professional because they just spent $60,000 to go ahead and have their pool put in, right? If they have an above ground pool, it's probably not going to go ahead and be the right consumer of someone who wants to put lights in their pool anyways. And what we're thinking about here, okay, is the commonality of someone actually needing this specific or wanting this specific item. Will there be maybe 1 or 2 people who want to go ahead and put this light feature in their fishbowl? Yeah, probably. You probably get a few. Is there going to be a few people who want to go ahead and put this in their above ground pool? If you're lucky, maybe a few. But keep in mind here, guys, we need consistency. And what consistency is just a code word for demand in our marketplace, right? We need consistent buyers. We need demand. And while there might be a little bit of demand here and there, there's not enough demand to keep us profitable, okay, for an item like this. Now, specifically, okay, you know, Yuri says, oh, it could work for Google ads if they're searching for it, for sure, right? Search-based and search intent ads. But even so, an item like this just looks a little bit more on the cheapy side, to where someone who buys a $60,000 pool probably wouldn't be too stoked about when they first get it, right? So we also have to keep an eye in our minds on expectations of what the buyer's actually purchasing, right? This right here is, from the looks of it, is going to be very cheap, just plastic lights, okay? That could go inside pretty much anything. They're just using the fact that you could put it in pools and anywhere else, okay, as their marketing angle. But what it's doing here is actually portraying this as a general light item, which is taking it away from that kind of pinpoint marketing angling that an item like this needs to actually sell well. So we're going to go ahead and put this to the side, because this is not something that really bleeds through high perceived value. Even though the lighting is the result of it, it's going to be a lower end item that specifically, probably wouldn't do too well with the marketplace that we're going with.
Ladies and gents, hopefully you enjoyed that incredible product audit today. You guys always love when I do these product audits, so I want to make sure we do a ton of them as we continue forward and keep rocking and rolling, guys. So be sure to leave a like in the video as well, and watch the video over again and pause and play so you can understand and hear out every single point that I bring up, because these points are derived off of tons of information that we found off of previous winners as well, guys. So definitely listen to the video again, go back or rewatch it, take notes, and make sure to leave a like in the video as well and a comment down below, and I'll see you in the next video.